In this video, I'm going to show you how to install shower doors. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Josh. This channel is all about building your own house, saving a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get notification every time I release a new video, and hammer that like button for me. That's all I ask in return for making this video. So we got a lot to do today, so let's get started. After I unpackage shower doors, the first thing I like to do is inspect them thoroughly with a light to make sure there's no hair cracks in them. Any hair crack will eventually fail the glass and it's going to shatter. And this is tempered glass. It's been treated so that if it breaks, it shatters. So that way big pieces won't cut you while you're in the shower if it does break. So the first thing I'm going to do is just inspect thoroughly. With this particular shower door, there's two metal tracks that are very important to note. This track is going to go against the wall, and then this track is actually going to slide into it in order to anchor the panel to the wall. So I got to secure this track to this piece of glass, and that's going to be the way it secures. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You just silicone it on, but we need to make sure we put it on the right side of the door. So let me show you the right side of the door in this case. If you take note on this glass panel that's going to be stationary, there's a hole right here in this bottom corner, and there is not one here. So this side's going to go against the wall, and then this side is going to be the one to where the door is going to close against. So very important to note. So if we take a look at this metal track, there's a groove here to allow the glass to slide into. And then on this side, this one's very shallow, so you know the glass doesn't slide in here. So on this side, we're going to put silicone right down the center of it. Now that we got a bead of silicone going down the track, we're going to slide this against the side of the panel that goes against the wall. So again, the hole's down here, so it's going to go on this side of the glass. I'm now going to take the side with the silicone and slide it over the edge of the glass that goes against the wall. And I'm going to work it up and down a little bit to make sure that silicone is being evenly spread. I'm now going to take a tape measure to ensure that the tracks square onto the glass. In order to do so, I'm just going to measure right here across the top and get the measurement, and we got 28 inches, and then I'm going to measure at the bottom to make sure we have the same measurement to know we're in equally. Now that I know the track's on square with the glass, you also need to make sure it's flush with the top and bottom of the glass. And we also need to make sure the silicone cures all the way before we install it onto the shower. So we need to let this sit for at least a few hours. Actually, 24 hours is ideal, but if you don't have all day to wait, you definitely need to let it set up for a while first. I'm now going to install the hinges onto the door, and in order to do so, I got to take the Allen wrench that came with this door and take these Allen screws out. Now that you remove the Allen screws, as you can see, we're going to have pieces of rubber inside here, and we need to keep those. So you're going to notice with this one, we got some thin rubber pieces, which are these two, and then we got some thicker rubber pieces. So these rubber gaskets, these thicker ones are going to go with the hinge, but I'm going to go ahead and cut these thin ones up into pieces, and you'll understand more in just a moment. I'm simply just going to take some metal shears, and I'm just going to cut these, or you can use a utility knife, either one's fine. I'm now going to put the side of the door that gets the hinges to where the clear max is out, and this is going to go inside of the shower. So this is treated on this side of the glass and the other side is not, and this is the side that, again, we want inside the shower, so I'm going to put the hinges on from this side. I'm going to begin the installation of the hinge by taking the thick gasket and placing onto the hinge like so first, and then we're going to slide it in to line up with the shape of the cutout here. And a key concept when you're installing these doors is make sure metal does not come in contact the glass. That's why there's going to be rubber all around this hinge by the time it's said and done. And I'm now going to take those little pieces of rubber that we cut up earlier from the thin gasket and place them around all the hinges like so. So that way it's a little extra security, so it takes the pressure off between the hinge and the glass. I now got the other side of the hinge here with the rubber gasket, and I got the screw that we took out earlier, and I got a little bit of this permalock that's going to be used to place on the threads, so that way it secures the screw in for a lifelong duration. Now we're going to place the Allen screw in here and tighten it right up. And I'm just going to snug it up for now, then install the next Allen screw the same way. I'm going to take the hinge and make sure the edge lines up the edge of the glass and try to push these spacers back in so they're not sticking out. Now that everything's lined up and looking good, I'm going to go ahead and tighten those Allen screws down really tight. All right, now we do the same to the other hinge. I'm now going to put on gloves that are coated in rubber. It's recommended that when you're handling these panels, you use rubber coated gloves. I now have him supporting the door, and I have the door setting where the stud's located. I know the stud that I installed when I was building the shower is right in the center of the shower pan's lip. And now that's sitting right where it's going. I'm going to take my level and just make sure we plumb it up really well. All right, I'm holding the door plumb, and I'm going to take a red pencil since this tile's black and just mark the top holes on this side, and now I'm going to go down below and mark the holes. Now that I mark all the holes for the hinges that need drilled out, we're going to take the door and set it to the side for a moment. Because I'm drilling holes in porcelain, I got this 1/4-inch diamond drill bit that's meant for porcelain, and I'll put a link to these in my Amazon store below along with this shower door if you want to check it out. In order to drill a hole out with this diamond drill bit, you got to start kind of on an angle so the edge of the drill bit starts into the tile, and then you just got to start rounding it out and leveling it up as you go slowly. So I'll show you how to do it. All right, we're through there, and do that same method to all the 4 holes in each hinge to drill them out. Just so you're aware, the video was sped up 20x, meaning it's 20 times faster than how long it really took when you're watching this. So keep that in mind, and also be sure to apply constant pressure while you're drilling out the hole. Because my mosaic tile is set back a little bit further than the tile here, I'm going to use a spacer that came with the door. It's just a really thin rubber spacer, and it's just going to help get it out flush with the tile, so when I install the door, it's going to be sitting plumb. And if we take a look here, I got my 8 screws for the hinges and a Phillips impact driver, and I'm going to set the door up here and secure it to the wall. And now I wanted to show you the bottom of the door real quick to see how it's sitting on the shower pan. And just so you're aware, this came with these spacers on the bottom of this hinge door, and that's to keep it leveled up off the shower pan as you install it, and these come off later. And I already drilled out all these holes like you see me do, so I'm going to run the screws into the hinges. I didn't have a chance to capture all the screws being installed on video, but 2 screws go on each side of the hinge, so a total of 4 screws per hinge, so 8 total screws. And I'm now going to place my spacer in back behind this hinge in order to get it to where we need it. And now I'm going to anchor the top hinge. I would also like to add, adding the shim behind the hinge made the door set plumb after the screws went into the hinge. All right, the door is now secured to the hinge side, and we're functioning just fine, no issues there. And now we're going to address the panel that's going to go over here fixed. So the first thing I need to do is get a straight edge and get the plane of this glass going across to the other side of the wall. I'm first going to shut the door and have it setting in line with the side of the shower. And now that looks really good right there. So I got to use my level here as a straight edge and plane it right off the glass. And I know I'm going to hit right here, and that looks really good. And I'm just going to mark it over here where it ends and just put a reference line going across here. I'm now going to take this trim piece and line it up right where the edge of that mark is in order to represent the edge of the glass. So I know this channel needs to sit right about there. And then I'm going to take a level and set on the side and then plumb it right up the wall. Now that I'm setting plumb, I'm going to take my pencil and mark to where I got to drill out on the tile for the holes going up the channel. Because diamond drill bits do not last forever, after I was done this shower, I definitely wore out this 1/4-inch diamond drill bit. So if you have 2, I would highly recommend that. For this next step, I went ahead and got the screws out of the pack. It's going to require these screws. Now, if you don't have a stud behind the wall, you're going to have to put in these anchors. On this side, for the fixed panel, it's okay to use these. You can't use these for the hinges for the door though, only for the track for the panel. So I'm just going to drive these right into the wood stud through the holes we just drilled. All right, now I'm going to take the panel and slide it right into that track. And this does not have any type of spacer on the bottom of it. It sits right on top of the shower pan. All right, we're going to open up the door. I'm now going to locate the channel that's shaped like this. It's kind of an H shape. And this channel is actually going to go on the side of the panel we just installed as a closure. So I'm going to flip it around to where the flat part is on the back side in at the shower. Now in order to install this, I got to open up the hinge side and then install this strip. And that's because it's going to close against it. So I'm going to go ahead and push it right onto that edge. It goes on pretty simple, and make sure we're down tight to the shower pan. And now we got to shut the door and adjust this panel to match. This panel is far from this door, so what I need to do is slide the panel out of that track in order to make an 1/8 inch reveal. All right, that's a pretty good start. As you see, we got a little gap right here. I'm now going to secure the fixed panel to the shower pan. In order to do so, I'm going to have to use this bracket, and just like the hinges, we got to take it apart and remove these rubber gaskets. And we're just going to use the 2 thicker ones and discard the thinner ones and keep this round plastic piece in the center of this post. In order to install this part with the L shape is going to go on the inside like so, right in line with that hole, and we're going to install the bracket with the rubber gasket in between the glass and the metal bracket. And now I'm going to take the other side with all the parts together and stick it through the glass hole here at the bottom. And now I'm simply going to take the Allen screw and install it through the bracket to hold it together. And I'm now going to make sure my panel is square with the shower pan and that it didn't move from where we set it before. Now I got to drill out the shower pan. Now that I have the panel sitting exactly where I want it, I'm going to mark the center of this bracket where this hole is, and it's a little bit adjustable after you install it. So I'd recommend putting the screw right in the center of this slot. I'm now going to shift this panel out of the way here, and it's going to give me enough room to be able to drill this hole out here. And it's an 1/8 inch drill bit when I'm drilling into this acrylic shower pan. And this panel wouldn't be able to shift like this if it was tight back in that bracket, but it's out far enough for me to be able to do so. You may have to take the whole panel out of the bracket against the wall in order to do this. But I'm going to go ahead and secure this. I'm going to take just a little bit of silicone and place over that bracket once it's back over that hole. So we're going to slide it where we want it. So we're going to line the bracket up that hole we just drilled. I'm just going to put just a little bit of silicone into that hole because a lot of water is going to be hitting right here. And now I'm just going to take this screw and install it through that hole. And now I'm going to wipe off this extra silicone here. And that's all there is to that bracket. On this side, there's pre-drilled screw holes in order to install screws to secure it to this channel. Now I'm going to locate one of the holes that's pre-drilled here and take the same 1/8 inch drill bit and drill that hole out to install a screw. I'm now going to take one of the small screws that came in the hardware pack and locate one of these white rings, and the screw is going to fit right down into it like so. And then we're going to place the screw into that hole we just drilled. And now we're going to take one of the caps that came with that corresponding ring and snap right over that. And that's what we do to all the holes up this channel that's required to secure it. I'm now going to install the support arm, and this side goes to the glass panel up top, and then this goes to the wall. So I'm going to remove the section that goes onto the panel using the Allen wrench that came with. Now, in order to prepare this bracket, it comes with 2 thicker pieces of rubber padding, and in order to install these, I do like to put a little silicone on them so that way they stay in place as I'm putting them onto the door. If not, it's really hard to keep them into place. So I'm going to take just a little bit of silicone and just dab a wee little bit on each part of that rubber and stick it into the bracket. When it comes to installing this support arm, we want it about 45 degrees, so something like that. So I know the bracket needs to be installed about right there. So as you can see, this bracket has a set screw right here, and these are the rubber pads that we installed earlier. So all we got to do is place this at our mark here for the 45 degree and slide it right over that glass. Now after it's set onto the glass, just tighten that set screw up very gently. I'm now going to take a 2-foot level and just level a line off the shower doors and then make a mark right here about where that 45-degree bar is going to hit. I'm now going to take the support bar, hold it onto that bracket with one hand, and then hold it about on the level line for the top of this bracket to that level line. And if everything looks about right, I'm just going to mark the center of this hole right here that needs drilled out into the tile. I'm now going to use the diamond bit to drill a hole right there where we just marked into the tile. I'm now going to take the plug that came with that hardware kit and tap it into that hole. I'm now going to take the support arm and place it onto the bracket on the glass door and go ahead and screw it onto its bracket. And now I'm going to take the Phillips screw and drive it into that anchor we just installed. And that's all there is to that bracket. It's now time to install the seal that goes around the hinge side of the door, and it's going to be installed right like this. So we got to cut out around these hinges. So I'm just going to lay the stripping up flat to the bottom of the shower pan to where the hinge side of the door is, and then mark where each hinge is with a pencil on the stripping. In order to cut out around this hinge, I'm first going to take my utility knife and just cut from pencil mark to pencil mark, going right around this flexible fin, right in this groove. And now on the other side of it. Now after we got that scored really well, I'm just going to cut down those pencil marks. You might cut little V shapes in order to get the full cut here. We're going to flip it end for end to hit the other side. Cut. And the places we scored earlier, we're just going to break those off of that flexible piece here. So the idea is this is going to go around the hinge, then this is going to go up the side of the glass. Then do the same to the other side. I'm now going to come over here to the inside of the shower and install the stripping into the glass panel like so. Now just keep snapping the channel into place along the side of the door. It can be difficult sometimes to get this track on, but once you get it started, it's not too bad. And now when you shut the door, as you can see, those strips will cover up the hinge as well. And now with the door shut, I'm just going to take my utility knife and just kind of cut that stripping so that it seals around the hinge. So just a little relief cut. And now while I'm here, I'm just going to take the little black plastic caps that were supplied with the door and place them over these Allen screws. And do that to the other hinge. I'm now going to install the door handle, and all we got to do is unthread these ends by hand, and then we're going to put a rubber gasket on each side of the glass. And I used a little bit of silicone to hold these rubber gaskets on while I'm installing it. If not, they would fall off. So as you can see, it's holding them very well. I'm now going to take the door handle and line it up with the holes for the handle, and then install the smaller one in the top, and then the larger one at the bottom. And I don't think it matters if you put them in either or, but that's just how I'm going to do it. And now you just hand tighten these as best you can. And this is going to act as a pull to shut the door. I'm sure you probably noticed when I opened up the door, this handle's in the way. I'm going to have to either remove this handle or find a way to protect the door from hitting it. So I just want to let you know I am going to address that. Now time to install the sweep onto the door. And as you can see, there's a little flap on this side and there's none on this side. We want this flap facing inside of the shower. I'm now going to slide the sweep right up to the hinge side of the door. And now as you can see, this is sticking over this part that we installed earlier. So what we need to do is mark this outside flush with that strip. So that way we need to notch this out so that the bottom sweep stays on, and then this will go butt up to this channel. And now in order to cut this, I'm just going to cut right down that mark we just made with my snips. And then I'm going to cut right back to here on an angle. Now I'm going to come over here to the other side of the sweep and cut the same length off. So something like that will work just fine to go underneath of that channel. I'm now going to slide the part we just cut back into the door like so, again with this fin facing inside the shower. And it's going to give us a nice weather-tight seal. And also be sure to notch this side to hit against this strip as well. In order to finish up the shower door install, I got to place a bead of silicone at this bottom fixed panel and then up the side where the tile and this channel meet. In order to do so, I'm going to take a clean rag and wipe off right in that crease where we got a silicone. I now got a piece of pasteboard with me to wipe my finger on in order to keep wiping the silicone smooth. And now I'm going to take my 100% silicone and start caulking this crease with a nice even bead of silicone. And I'm now going to take a damp rag and dampen my finger and smooth that out. And I'll do the same going up the tile. I now got to let this shower set up for 24 hours to allow the silicone to cure all the way. And all this turned out really nice. And if you want to see how I installed the tile in this shower, check out this video. It will help you out.